Welcome to Artist. My name is LATIKA, and I want you to come on this journey with me to interview as many artists as I can. My first time interviewing anyone, I figured, why don't I choose someone who means so much to me? And that is why our first guest is gonna be the one, the only, MeliPen, my good sis. Welcome to the show. Chica Rica.
Chica Rica.
Chica Riggedy Rica. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you. Now, a lot of you don't know, but me and Melissa used to make jokes and have fun when we were younger. One of the things we used to do was pretend to interview each other. I would star as Shiloh, a mega superstar, and she would be like the Jimmy Kimmel, let's say. So it's a pleasure to have you here, sis.
Pleasure to be here in your company.
Yes, girl.
With this backdrop.
With this beautiful backdrop. Jersey girls, period. So since Mother Nature's being a dumb bitch, we had to relocate, but we're here. That's important. So back to the question. When and where was the first time you connected to your art?
The first time that I connected to my art was when I was 11. I was gifted a diary. My mom's friend gifted me a diary, and it was the beginning of my journey with writing.
Yeah, I remember when I was that age, where I was just a curious kid and just nosy overall. I looked through your Little Ballerina Slipper diary, and I didn't do it for the intention of I want to see, what my sister's up to. I did it more so because, one, there weren't that many books in the house. Two, I just wanted to, feel closer to you.
That's beautiful.
So,
you never told me that growing up, though.
I know, but, I just wanted to...
Make sure that's honest. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I wanted to know that, I could connect with you in some way, even though we had, 6 years between us. The age gap, I felt like you were too old to play Barbies with me or play anything with me, so I just felt like, that was a way we could connect.
Interesting.
So, how do you think that's influenced you today? The fact that you've just been writing all your life, pretty much since you were a little girl.
It's influenced me in the way that I see the world, because it forces me to slow down and be present in moments.
Yeah.
I think I experienced the world through writing.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, I feel you, because it's the same way with me and my art. I dabble in different forms of art, whether it be fashion, music, or fine arts. It's how we express each other, ourselves and with each other. So I think that's a beautiful thing,
It is.
And out of all the art that you see, because I know you're very into music as well, on her blog, she likes to analyze and interpret lyrics. So I know that you have different forms of expressing yourself through art. So where do you go to the most, for comfort?
For comfort, music. Are you asking environment where I go to, or just the
just
headspace?
Anything, the headspace, all of it. It could be a combination of so many things.
I think going outside and listening
right
to music.
now, even though it's hot as balls.
Yeah, but I mean, going outside and listening to music is very comforting to me.
Yeah.
I think when I'm very distressed and just I need a break from life, often I go outside and listen to music.
Do you feel like you have inspirations that you have felt moved you throughout life? Like specific people who have shaped your writings?
Oh, of course. In terms of writing, or writers, Ernest Hemingway. I think Ernest Hemingway was one of the first poets that I was exposed to. I mean, in English class, the writing man kept writing. There's a poem that my best friend and I always like mock, because our English teacher, when he would recite it, he would just recite it with so much enthusiasm.
Like Dead Poets Society?
Yeah. So, I think Ernest Hemingway is probably one of the first poets that I was interested in. Emily Dickinson too.
The lesbo.
Well, there's speculation. but we don't know.
True.
She's also very influential in my writing. Serena Williams, her tenacity as an athlete, a mother, just overall human being. Like
These are all very good people. The name, because I feel like Serena Williams, even her father in the movie King Richard, the way he exemplified determination and dedication to one's craft, it was passed down to her, and she, I feel like many kids nowadays, like, they'll learn from their parents, but they'll eventually do their own thing. But it's like that teaching, that learning tool of teaching them how to like be in this world and dedicate themselves so hard to something that they love. That's very rare.
It is.
And I feel like you have that with your writing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how old were you when you first wrote your first poem? Or a song or anything that you wrote?
I want to say it was probably 6th grade, 7th grade. I'm pretty sure I did write a poem in elementary school, but I can't remember if, like, I can't put my finger on it. So
Yeah.
I think the first time that I was really immersed in poetry was when I was assigned a poetry project, and it was related to all the books that we read during the whole year. And we had to write different types of poems. So like acrostic, haiku, like different types of poems.
What was your favorite?
A sonnet
And what did you write in that sonnet?
about love.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was what, I must have been like 12, 13.
Do you recall any line from the poem?
A line from a poem, I mean,
From the poem that you wrote, the sonnet.
bits and pieces. I don't recall it line by
Word for
line.
word.
Yeah, but it was something along the lines like the love of your life has like left you, and you're like in a puddle of pain.
So you think where you go to in order to write and to get into the zone for your poems or your stories, do you feel like you get into the headspace of love or heartbreak? Where does that stem from?
I get in the headspace of love. Over the years, I think it's transitioned from heartbreak to just being in love. I don't think it's from a source of pain anymore, and I think I'm happy about that. Like I'm glad that it has evolved. But why it was heartbreak? It was because I was a little, just like, it was confusing for me. Like, for me, like, my first interaction with love was painful. So that's just how it was. Like, that's why it was that's why it stemmed from pain and heartbreak, because my first love was painful.
Right.
So
Do you think your environment and your upbringing had a lot to do with how you wrote?
of course. my upbringing had a lot to do with how I wrote, because I grew up in a town that was we were a minority, you know, like we grew up in a really white town. So I didn't have a sense of belonging, and my writing for me was a sense of belonging, like I belonged.
And I remember, guys, she wrote something and I was looking through it. I thought it was just, you know, papers, like regular papers, but I looked at it and it was like scratched up, not scratched up, but like red pen on a poem you wrote. And I remember it was something like the teacher, who was non-melanated, she wrote something so like excruciatingly like mean to register as like a child, especially when you're not white.
Right.
And I think you wrote something about, you know, being, you know, in your culture and feeling left out. And she was like, I don't think it's because of that. She wrote something and it was like, I don't think it's because of that. I think it's because of this. How are you going to tell a child that?
How to feel. Yeah, it was very dismissive.
Yeah. And at your core, who did like 6 to 10-year-old Melissa Pennerete, who did she want to be in this world?
A marine biologist.
A marine biologist?
That was my first aspiration.
At your core, who did you always want to be?
At my core, who did I always want to be? I wanted to be a person that people would be happy to be around. I wanted to bring laughter to this world. I think there was a period of time where I really thought I could be a comedian, because I would do little skits in my room and like just do impersonations. I still do little skits, yeah, but I do impersonations of people. I like to study how people behave, like mannerisms, and I would just practice them in my room. So I don't know, it was a combination of things. I wanted to be a marine biologist, specifically with killer whales. I wanted to be a whale trainer, not knowing, you know, the conditions that killer whales are in. I was just very elusive back then. I wanted to do like comedy, and I was also really interested in science, even as a little girl.
And that reflected in your your older years. You decided to become a biology major.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you're making 10-year-old Melissa proud?
Yes, I am, in the sense that I have held on to my passion for writing, and I don't think that's gonna go away anytime soon. Like, it's here to stay. Yeah. I was a little bit ashamed about it growing up, because I thought that I was just like super dramatic and like, you know, maybe like very vulnerable, but I don't care anymore. It's just the way that I am, and I've learned to embrace it. Exactly.
That's such a good thing to teach people, not just parent as kids, but also like anyone should be able to express themselves, be vulnerable, without having to think about, you know, what are other people gonna think about me.
Yeah,
it's such a societal like detriment, I feel like, but I'm glad that you're making 10-year-old Melissa proud. As your sister, it's a beautiful thing to witness, but as your friend, it means a lot.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
So, any insecurities you've faced over the years with your writing or being an artist in general?
I think the insecurities, it was in the sense that I couldn't describe my love in the detail that I wanted to, because maybe it wasn't gonna be accepted by society.
Right.
So I think that was an insecurity that I always had to like just tweak it in such a way that it would be ambiguous.
Yeah.
But other than that, honestly, not really.
Yeah, because as an artist, I remember watching a movie, and it was like a scene where this apprentice type guy, he wanted to be taught by a really famous artist, and he was like, oh, I want to be, you know, just like you. But then the artist taught him, if you really want to be an artist, you don't really have what it takes, because if you really want to be an artist, you're not asking people to teach you how to do something you should already know how to do, or you should just be an artist because you believe in it, not because you want to, you know, you want to impress people, or you have to ask for validation from anyone. And I think that's the key to become successful in this art world. So just to bounce off of what you said, it's very true. You shouldn't have any insecurities. I mean, they're valid, but yeah, as an artist, you gotta let them go.
Because then if you don't, you just cripple your creativity.
Right.
I mean, if you give into your insecurities, think about all the art that you didn't create because of that.
Because you felt paralyzed.
Yeah.
Paralysis is the worst. It's like death.
Yeah. Death, it's like starving your art.
Yeah. And are you excited about anything for the future, as far as your art career, as far as your writing path?
Yes, I am. The cat's out of the bag, but I mean, you know this, and close friends of mine know this, that I am working on a collection of poems that I'm gonna publish. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. But that's just gonna be the beginning. I'm not gonna stop there. I would love to write short stories.
Yes.
I would love to eventually write a novel. But for now, I'm focused on just releasing my first book in the form of poetry.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on to the show, for being the first episode guest. It means so much to me, and I wish you the best of luck on all your future projects. I think you're so talented. I think you're an amazing artist, amazing person with so much to offer, you know, talent, insight, all of it. So thank you.
Thank you. When you told me the first time that you wanted to interview artists, and it was even before that you asked me, can you be the first artist that I interview? I was just so, it was like a full circle moment for me, because like you said in the opening, we would pretend to interview each other when we were younger, and now as adults, it's kind of just like, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see you bring to life what you had as a vision as a kid. Like, I think that's so beautiful. Because, you know, it's a testament to your essence, and you have never shied away from who you are as a person at the core. And don't ever let anybody dim your light, baby.
Period.
What's that little, you have a
Don't ever let anyone dim your light, baby.
Yeah, you have that on your Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm serious. Like, your essence is so needed in this world, and
Oh, I know what it is. It's don't ever let anybody dim your light, baby. Shine bright.
shine bright. Yes. So you better continue to shine bright.
Thank you.
Sister,
And
I'm so proud of you.
likewise, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you too. And we got to rag it and pack it.
Ragged and packed up. Let me just say, Katie is the first person, or LATIKA,
LATIKA.
She's the first person that I go to for writing advice. She's the first person that I think of sharing my poems with, because she, even though she's younger than me, I really mean it when I say that she's my mentor when it comes to writing. Like after probably dad and you are kind of like neck and neck, but your writing just is out of this world. Like when you sent me that poem the other day, you're like, did I ever show you this poem? And I read it to Shirley. I was just like, when I read it, Katie, I was like, oh my God, like this freaking poem is like golden. It's so freaking good.
Thank
like
you.
And it's, you just like,
You do it with so much ease.
Yeah, because I just let it vomit.
Flow, yeah.
And I think that's one of my advice to like young artists or any artist of any age. Just let it like come out of you, like vomit. Just let it flow.
Bleed on the paper.
Bleed on the paper, yes.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to rag it and pack it. Rag it and pack it. That's the end of Artist to Artist, yo.
Peace
Episode
out,
1.
Girl Scout.
Peace out, Girl Scout.